Hi everyone, today I am presenting my work on TISNET, template-based inter-modality super resolution of brain connectivity. This work has been done at Adversarial by myself, Islam Mihiri, and supervised by Dr. Islam Rekik. The problem we want to solve is how to super resolve cross-modality brain graphs using one-shot learning. In other words, we want to find a mapping from a source modality with lower resolution brain graphs to a target modality with higher resolution brain graphs and different topology. There are many studies on multimodal brain image and graph synthesis. One of them proposed a generative adversarial network, namely GAN-based method, to predict medical images of different brain image modalities from a given modality. But this work doesn't make use of non-Euclidean structured data such as brain graphs. To overcome this issue, another study came up with multi-graph GAN architecture to predict multiple brain graphs from a single one. However, this work doesn't generalize to different brain graph resolutions and topologies, so it is not a super resolution method. Also, training of such framework requires a high computational power and large datasets. For a faster training, another study suggested a labeled medical image generation method using one-shot and semi-supervised learning. Nonetheless, this work sets a random training sample, which doesn't reflect the whole data distribution. To address these challenges, we propose TISNET framework. First, to handle the data heterogeneity within each specific modality, we learn the pairwise similarities between training brain graphs and map them into different clusters. This clustering step enables to explore the underlying data distribution prior to the connectional brain template, namely CBT estimation. Second, we estimate the cluster-specific CBTs, which are locally centered and representative in the corresponding populations. Next, we integrate these cluster-specific CBTs to one global CBT, which reflects the characteristic of the whole training population. Then, we learn the mapping from source CBT to target CBT using one-shot learning. Our framework has three exclusive features. First, it learns from a representative, well-centered CBT in one-shot learning manner. Second, it's able to generate brain graphs between different modalities. And third, it's also capable of shifting the brain graph resolution to a higher resolution. As an overview, first, we extract the features from the interested regions in the brain and cluster the data. Then, we obtain the local and global CBTs. Lastly, we give the global CBTs into our generative adversarial network. We represent the brain network of each subject as an adjacency matrix. Then, we take the upper triangular part since these matrices are symmetric. After that, we vectorize the upper triangular part and state the resultant feature vectors in a connected feature matrix. We disentangle the heterogeneous distribution of the brain graphs by clustering similar brain connectums into non-overlapping subspaces using single-cell interpretation via multi-kernel learning, namely SIMLR, which is an unsupervised clustering method. Then we anti-vectorize the output of the SIMLR to get the clusters as adjacency matrices. In CBT generation part, we first obtain a local CBT for each cluster using deep graph normalizer, namely GiHub, so that we create a brain graph that is representative for each cluster. Then we map these local CBTs into one global CBT which represents and captures the topology of the whole manifold. DGN is a GNN-based graph integration framework. For more about it, you can read the paper, watch the YouTube video, and check the GitHub code. Following the estimation of the CBTs, we design an inter-modality graph generative adversarial network that handles shifts in graph resolution, such as node size variation. Our generator and discriminator is composed of three edge-based graph convolution layers, regularized by batch normalization, and dropout for each layer's output. Generator predicts the target CBT and discriminator measures the realness of it by comparing with ground truth and target CBT. For this comparison, we propose a novel target preserving loss function, consists of adversarial loss, L1 loss, and Pearson correlation coefficient loss. Adversarial loss measures the difference between the generated and ground truth CBTs. L1 loss tries to minimize the element-wise absolute difference in edge weights between the generated and ground truth CBTs. Pearson correlation coefficient loss quantifies the overall correlation between the predicted and target brain templates. In our experiment, we used 100 subjects from the SLIM longitudinal dataset. Each subject is represented by scans from a source modality consist of morphological brain graphs derived from T1 weighted MRI, and target modality consists of functional brain graphs derived from resting state functional MRI. We evaluated our framework using threefold cross-validation and selected the number of clusters as 3 for similar. We benchmarked our method against random one-shot, DGM-based single CBT without clustering, tSNET without Pearson correlation coefficient loss, tSNET without L1 loss, and train on all. The evaluation matrices we used are mean absolute error between the connectivity weights in predicted and ground truth brain graphs in the target modality. Also, we examined topology centrality measures by evaluating mean absolute error between page rank, betweenness, and eigenvector centralities. Our framework has achieved the best performance across all the benchmark methods, excluding train on all for mean absolute error and page rank centrality. Train on all is dedicated as a lower bound for these errors since it learns better by utilizing all training samples. We introduced the first work for the graph synthesis across variant modalities and resolutions using one representative shotlarning. Our framework outperforms the baseline methods in terms of brain graph super resolution results, reduces the cost of batch-based training of GNN models using one-shot learning, and predicts reliable high-resolution functional brain networks from morphological ones by preserving the topology of the target domain via our target preserving loss function. In our feature work, we plan to extend our architecture to predict time-dependent brain graphs using one-shot learning, which is going to enable us to forecast the evolution of the brain disorders. Feel free to check our recent review paper on GNSS in network neuroscience, covering recent GNN architectures for brain connectivity integration, classification, super resolution, and more. You can also visit the GitHub repo of the paper. For more, please visit us at basira-lab.com. Thank you for your attention.